For 30 years, the case stayed cold. Evidence sat in boxes, files gathered dust, and a killer lived free, walking the streets like everyone else. He blended in, aged like everyone else, and smiled like he had nothing to hide. But one tiny mistake, left behind decades ago, was waiting for science to catch up, and when it finally did, the truth came crashing down, because DNA never forgets. In the summer of 1988, the small town of Millbrook, Oregon, was rocked by a murder that left the entire community stunned. The victim was 22-year-old Claire Matthews, a nursing student who had just finished her final semester. She was bright, kind, and universally loved. On the evening of June 11, Claire had attended a graduation party. She left around 10:30 p.m. to walk the 6 blocks to her apartment. She never made it home. Her body was found the next morning in a wooded area just 2 miles from campus. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Her belongings were scattered nearby, her keys, her purse, and one white sneaker. There were signs of a struggle, but no witnesses, no fingerprints, no clear suspect. The police worked tirelessly. Interviews were conducted, suspects questioned, and polygraphs administered. But every lead went cold. The only real evidence they had was a semen sample taken from the victim during the autopsy, which was stored in a forensic evidence freezer. In 1988, that meant nothing. DNA analysis was in its infancy, and all the police could do was wait. Years passed. New detectives came and went. The case was reopened several times, especially whenever new DNA testing technologies were introduced, but the sample never matched anyone in the criminal databases. Claire's family tried to move on, but they never stopped hoping. In 1997, the Matthews family held a memorial on the 9th anniversary of Claire's death. Her mother, Linda, spoke publicly for the first time. Her message was simple: "I just want to know who did this. I want him to know we haven't forgotten." In the early 2000s, the case was officially declared cold, but the sample was preserved and the case file was digitized for future review. That decision, keeping the DNA intact, would eventually crack the case wide open. Fast forward to 2018, 30 years had passed. Technology had leapt forward. Crime labs could now process DNA at microscopic levels, even when degraded. More importantly, genetic genealogy had become a game changer in forensic science. This technique, which had helped identify the infamous Golden State Killer, allowed investigators to find distant relatives of suspects by uploading crime scene DNA to public genealogy websites. A small unit within the Oregon State Police decided to review the Claire Matthews case. The DNA evidence was re-examined, and the profile was uploaded to GEDmatch, a public genealogy database. Within weeks, they had a match, not a direct hit, but a second cousin of the unknown killer. That was all they needed. A genealogist built a reverse family tree starting from the match, tracing it backward through generations, then forward again to potential living suspects. Dozens of names were analyzed, delimited based on age, location, criminal history, and gender, until only one person remained: Stephen Crowley ***. Crowley was 56 years old, living in Spokane, Washington. He had no criminal record. He worked as a used car salesman and had lived a quiet, uneventful life. But in 1988, he had been a student at the same college Claire Matthews attended. They had even taken a psychology class together. Crowley had never been interviewed during the original investigation. His name never appeared in the case file, but now he was the prime suspect. The next step was to confirm the match. Detectives followed Crowley discreetly, waiting for a chance to collect a discarded DNA sample, something he left behind in public. It didn't take long. One afternoon, Crowley finished a soda at a park and tossed the cup into a public trash can. That cup was collected and sent to the lab. 3 days later, the results came back. It was a match, all 1 in 5. 7 trillion chance that it was anyone else. The DNA from the 1988 crime scene was his. After 30 years, they had their man. Crowley was arrested at his home on October 21, 2018. He denied everything, claimed he didn't remember Claire, didn't know what they were talking about, but the evidence was airtight. When told about the DNA, his face went pale. He asked for a lawyer. From that moment forward, he said nothing. The arrest made national news. Headlines read, asterisk, DNA solves 1988 murder, asterisk and asterisk, justice after 30 years. Asterisk at trial, prosecutors laid out the timeline. They showed that Stephen Crowley and Claire Matthews had attended the same college, lived just 4 blocks apart, and were in the same class during the spring of 1988. Crowley's friends testified that he had developed a weird interest in Claire. One former roommate remembered him talking about her too much, even though they never dated. The defense tried to suggest the DNA could have come from consensual sex, but Claire's friends testified she never even knew Crowley personally. There was no evidence they had ever been alone together. The jury didn't buy it. After 3 days of deliberation, Stephen Crowley was found guilty of first-degree murder and sexual assault. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Claire Matthews' family was present in court. Her mother wept as the verdict was read. She later spoke to the press. "I can't bring my daughter back, but today, I feel peace. Today, the truth finally won." The case became a landmark example of how modern technology can rewrite the past, and how justice, though slow, is still possible. More cold cases across the country began using genetic genealogy as a tool. In the following 2 years, more than 50 long, unsolved murders were cracked using the same method. The Claire Matthews case was cited in lectures, documentaries, and even police training manuals. For Claire's family, it was the end of a nightmare, but also a strange new chapter. The idea that the man who murdered their daughter had lived an ordinary life, passed unnoticed for 3 decades, was difficult to process. Neighbors of Stephen Crowley expressed disbelief. One described him as polite, quiet, the kind of guy who lent tools. But behind that normal facade was a secret, and only DNA silent waiting could reveal it. Today, Claire Matthews is remembered not just as a victim, but as the reason many other cases were reopened. Her story proved that time doesn't erase truth, that evidence matters, and that no matter how long it takes, justice is possible, when we refuse to forget.